We're learning some laws to prepare ourselves for the upcoming holiday. How many days left? What day is today of the Omer?
Yes.
You can say today. You can say today. It's only when it comes towards the evening, towards sunset, then you have to be careful.
Only by sunset.
Only by sunset, because then if you say the current day, you won't be able to say a bracha. It'll be like you counted already. But all day long, you can say what today's is.
Really?
What tomorrow's is. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. It's people get confused, but you don't have to be careful about saying today's day until it becomes close to when it might be kosher, right? If it's after sunset and you say to somebody today is 46 days of the Omer, then when it comes a few moments later, you want to say in Mariv, Baruch Atah Hashem, today is 46 days of the Omer. You already said it. How can you say the bracha? But before sunset, it's not the proper day. And after you've already said it, you could say it again and again and again, how many times you want. So today is 46 days of the Omer.
But I also heard if you say the number, you're not allowed to say it tomorrow again. You cannot keep on because you broke it. That's right?
No, that's if you forget.
Sorry, yes.
If you forget one day.
Yeah.
Then it breaks the sequence.
Yes, right.
So that's a problem.
Yes.
That's a problem. You still should count, but count without a blessing.
Yes. Yeah.
So
today we have 46 and...
Yeah, which is 6 weeks and? How's the math in the Chinese system? But so 46 days is 6 weeks and? 46 days of the Omer. No, but how is it? How many weeks?
Weeks. 六周2天，6周。
How many days of the Omer is there? Yisrael, help us out here. Today is 46 days, which is, we count the days and the weeks.
6 weeks.
4 weeks and 4 days.
Not 4 weeks.
65.
4 weeks only gets us to 28, right? 4 times 7. In China, do they teach you math? Of course you know. The 46, how many weeks is it?
How many? 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
And
4 days.
And 4 days. 4.
4 days.
Yeah. 6 weeks and 4 days. All right. Good. Okay. We're on the same page. We're on the same day. Excellent. Okay. And how many days do we count? Sum total? How many days do we count?
50.
No, I caught you. That's why I asked.
49.
We only count 49 days.
Yes.
49
the
days.
50th day.
50th we have Shavuot already. We don't count.
We don't count.
Right.
Because we count in the evening.
That's right when
So it's 49.
we count. See, there's only 3 more days. Today is what day? Is Wednesday, right?
Yes.
So we count tonight. Wednesday night is going to be 47. Thursday night, 48.
Mm-hmm.
Friday night, 49. So Shabbat. Friday night and Shabbat is 49.
Mm.
And then on Motzei Shabbat, Saturday night, we don't count. We celebrate. What do we do on Motzei Shabbat to celebrate?
I don't understand the question.
What do we do the night of the eve of Shavuot to celebrate? We're not counting anymore.
Yeah.
We have so much time on our hands. Every other night we're busy counting. But what do we do that night? We learn. Very good. We spend extra time.
Because the people fall asleep when they put on the Har Sinai, not really ready to receive the Torah.
That's right.
They fall asleep, and this is why we need to read all the night to learn.
to rectify, to fix what the Jewish people did, right? We covered that yesterday. Good.
خلق التوراة بشاتو أجد on شاتو the dancing and dancing and singing the crazy happy.
Where did you see people crazy happy? On Shavuot?
Okay.
On Shavuot?
Okay.
Where?
Very home.
Really? In Harnof.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Lovely. Well, it's nice to celebrate and to be happy that we receive the Torah. Shavuot is a festival. We're supposed to be happy. All the festivals, there's a mitzvah to be happy. This is a whole book about the laws of the festivals. We haven't covered it all. One of the laws is, if we have time, we'll get to them. One of the laws is, whenever the Torah tells you to be happy, so if you're a man, you should have meat and wine. And if
no women.
And if you're a woman, you should have new clothes.
Really?
Or jewelry, yes. Yesterday I took my wife to the mall, she went shopping, she bought herself something new for the Chag, for the festival of Shavuot. You too should make sure that you buy your wife something new for the holiday.
Need to be clothes?
That's what I said, it could be jewelry, but something, that's what the standard is.
Yes.
It's very insightful. Very wise of the rabbis. They said everybody has to get what makes them happy. With men, meat and wine. For women, new clothes.
So the months of
children, maybe a toy.
Yeah.
Maybe something sweet.
So the month of Sivan is a very expensive month.
Very expensive. Yes. Whenever there's a festival, it's expensive. Also Nisan for Pesach.
Of course.
And also for Shavuot. That's right.
Yeah.
Then you have a break. 4 months without any festivals, you don't have it. Till Rosh Hashanah, you don't have to buy your wife something new. Right.
It's beautiful.
Pinchas, your wife lives here with you in Yerushalayim, right?
Yes.
And you're going to buy her something for Chag? Now you know. You've got a few days, yeah. You got until Friday, till Shabbat. You can't shop on Shabbat. No.
I did bought something.
Oh, good. Yafe.
And I hope it will be in my home today or tomorrow.
Oh, good. You ordered it, Yafe.
Plant green.
A plant is nice. It's a very pretty gift, but it's more for the home. It's not so personal. I mean, it's always nice. Some you see here on the streets every Friday they sell flowers. A lot of men buy their wives flowers every Shabbat, for every Friday. Very nice custom. It makes the house pretty. It makes the woman happy. Makes the man happy too. But that's not the same as. It's not as personal as a new piece of clothing. So the standard is you should buy your wife a piece of clothing.
You are the first. I'll show you what I bought.
What did you buy for her? Let me see. Oh,
I bought a ring.
Beautiful.
It's called a hug.
Yes, and the idea is a hug. Yes, beautiful.
It's not only a hug from me, but also a hug from Hashem.
That's nice. That's really nice. I'm sure that she'll be very happy that you thought of it.
Yes.
It's a surprise for her?
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
It's for my wife.
A hug ring. Very nice. Right. Yisrael, you're the only one here not married. Right now. All right? You were ever married or?
Yeah, a long time ago they were.
A long time ago you were divorced. Okay, yeah. But we have to.
So
we have to find you somebody. Yeah. Do you have any friends? Maybe your wife has friends. Somebody for Yisrael. How old are you, Pinchas? You're now how old are you? You.
אני 53.
53. אני 54. ואתה?
58.
58. 58. Yeah. And Ravid?
אני 70.
70. Agol, round number.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Wow! Yes. You don't look so old. Yeah.
Too young.
Yeah, you look very young, Baruch Hashem. And you are very young. 70 is also very young. Mazal tov, Mazal tov. We're going to celebrate. Tomorrow we'll celebrate with you.
We have, I talked to Rabbi's mom, we have a celebration after lunch, and after Menachem, we'll come together in the English library.
Oh, lovely.
If you
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. Okay, good.
Because I want to also give a little speech.
Lovely. Okay, great. If I have time to, I don't think I'll be here tomorrow lunchtime, but we'll celebrate also in the morning. Well, twice. Maybe even today at the gathering upstairs, I'll have everybody sing happy birthday for you. Maybe. Yeah. It's a big one.
It's a very, I have this feeling this birthday is very important for me, not because of me, but the number 70, it's the number 7, it's a very holy number in Judaism.
Right.
And I was thinking about this, and this is what I'm going to talk tomorrow about.
I see. Lovely.
Yes,
Lovely.
in China, 70 years old, the birthday is a very big birthday.
Yeah, it's very big. Yeah, good. It should be, sure. We just celebrated with my mother 85.
Wow.
So, yeah, we had a nice celebration. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, she's well. She lives at home. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. And your wife is also 54, same age as you? 47. Okay. 47. Okay. So maybe she's a friend for Israel. He speaks. You both speak Mandarin or Cantonese? Mandarin.
He speaks Mandarin.
And you?
Mainly Cantonese.
Mainly Cantonese. You can a little bit speak Mandarin. Okay. Yeah. You have to speak Ivrit.
This is why he was in the Ulpan.
That's right. That's right. Yafeh. Yafeh. So now the young fellows have come. Baruch Hashem. Good morning, Hirsch. You're bringing down our average age. It's good.
Well, what is this? Where's everyone else?
And you tell me. They're your friends. They're your friends. They're looking for you.
When they come in and didn't see you, they go away.
No, you are important. By the way, I brought this the other day. Did you get one? I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the class.
He gave this to us several months ago. I still have the old one.
You still have it? Okay. You're interested in this? To read Rashi's script and the Nikudot? I don't know if you got one yesterday, Ravi? You got one yesterday, so you took that one. Okay. Yafeh. We're not going to be reading so much Rashi's script yet.
Isn't this like Italian? I heard this like Italian Sephardic script or whatever this is.
I don't know where the printer was who came up with this font, but it's known as Rashi. He chose to print the Rashi commentary in this font.
Isn't this like posthumously like ascribed to?
Oh yeah, it was many years after Rashi. Rashi, they didn't have printing in the 12th century. This is hundreds of years after Rashi, but it's not his script, but it's called Rashi's script. Anyways, we're getting ready for Shavuot. 3 more days left, right? Thursday, Friday, Shabbat. 3 more days. And then we're going to celebrate Shavuot by learning Torah. If you want to dance, you can dance. So happy to be receiving the Torah. It's a mitzvah to be happy on Shavuot, on Sukkot, on Pesach, Rosh Hashanah also. It's a little bit more complicated, but yes, Rosh Hashanah as well. And so you have to have meat and wine. You hear that here? You have to have meat and wine. And you have to buy your wife new clothes.
Bezrat Hashem in a few years.
Bezrat Hashem. First you have to find a wife, you say.
First, no.
Okay.
First the wine and the meat.
In the meantime, men should have meat and wine. And that's hopefully in the yeshiva, we're going to see in a few moments, we're going to read inside, that there is the custom to have cheese milk products on Shavuot.
But is that the minority?
No. It's a very ancient custom. It even has its sources in Chazal. In our sages, 2,000 years ago, it is very ancient sources for this custom. But the dairy farmers took it to the extreme because they want to sell more and more and more. And so many people have the custom, which I think is a little bit wrong, is that they don't have meat and wine. Because they say, we're supposed to have dairy.
Doesn't wine go with either?
Wine can go no problem, but meat, you're supposed to have meat. That's what makes us happy. That's the way we celebrate. Obviously, if you're a vegetarian, that's a different story. If you don't enjoy meat, some people say you should try to have meat anyways, because meat is a standard.
Well, isn't the point of the meat to enjoy the Shabbat? So
Right.
If you don't enjoy the meat, you're
Correct.
not enjoying Shabbat.
Yeah, most people say that if you don't enjoy it, you don't have to force yourself. But for most people who do enjoy having meat, you should try to have meat on Shavuot as well.
Yeah.
What about the dairy products? So we know that you have to separate between them, but you have the dairy products first, wait a half an hour, and then you can have your meat.
Right.
That's usually what I do at Kidus. I have Kidus in the morning with a cup of wine, and I have cheesecake, and I have my little sort of small meal with some dairy products, and then for the main meal, I have meat. Like on every other holiday, you're supposed to be happy with meat and wine. It's as much a festival as any of the others. Don't only have cheese or milk, unless you have a special condition that you love so much, the milk products. That's what makes you happy. Then there's room to be lenient. But other than that, anyways, we're going to celebrate Shavuot, and of course, even there's 2 meals on a holiday. How many meals do we have on Shabbat?
3.
3 meals. Right? Why 3? 1 at night,
Yeah.
right? You make the kiddush and you have a meal at night.
Mm-hmm.
Usually chicken soup, not miso soup. You can have that too. Anything you want, but Friday night meal is 1, and then in the morning you have the second meal.
Yes.
And then in the afternoon, you have the 3rd meal. 3 meals on Shabbat.
But why we in my home we have all the number 4 after actually when after mincha.
That's the 3rd. After mincha is the 3rd.
Okay.
There is a 4th, but that's not on Shabbat. That's really the special meal for Motzei Shabbat.
Yeah, this is what.
That's so this week, we're all going to be having a very big meal for Melave Malka, it's called, the meal after Shabbat, because it's the beginning of Yom Tov. So in Yom Tov we have 2 meals. 1 meal at night, that's also doubles as Melave Malka, is also the ending of Shabbat. It's after Shabbat. It's always good to have a meal on Saturday night, but especially this week, we're all going to be having a meal on Saturday night, proper meal with bread and meat, if possible.
So there's meal.
Lots of meals, right? So many meals. And then after Havdalah, yeah, of course, yeah. Motzei Shabbat, after Havdalah. Every week you're supposed to honor the Sabbath queen as she leaves, escort her leaving. And that's why
Shabbat queen, is it the
Shabbat queen. We mention her in the Chadodi poem as well. That's right. So the concept is that in order to show honor and respect to the Shabbat, even after the Shabbat is over, you made Havdalah, you should have another meal. It's not an obligation as serious as the 3 meals of Shabbat, but it's like a 4th meal of Shabbat. It's really after Shabbat is over. Many people, they're not hungry enough. Saturday night, they just eat ice cream, or they go out, I don't know, they don't eat at all. That's not the right thing. It's best to have a proper meal every Motzei Shabbat. But this week, everybody will be very careful to have a meal after Shabbat is finished. Why? Because it's also the first meal of Shavuot. It's the first meal of the Yom Tov. So that's one meal. And then the next morning, you have a second meal. There's no obligation to have 3 meals on Shavuot. So in Shabbat afternoon, on Shavuot afternoon after Mincha, you don't have to have another meal. Just 2 meals on Yom Tov. 2 meals on Yom Tov, 3 meals on Shabbat.
Just a general.
The first meal of the Shavuot in the night, Achari Motzi Shabbat.
That's right, the first meal of Shavuot, yes. Some people are so excited, oh, it's Shavuot, we'll have a dairy meal, milchik. It's a big meal, you have to have a big meal. You have to have bread, 2 chalot, almost like it's Friday night again, right? It's a proper festival meal. For sure you have to have a big meal. And I'm explaining now that ideally you should have meat for the festival, meat and wine. Although some people, they had so much meat on Shabbat, and they're so happy that it's Shavuot, it's an ancient custom to have dairy products, so they just have a dairy meal. But not in my house. In my house, I also don't like dairy as much, and I don't like fish as much. So, but halacha, I'm a meat man. But halachically, it's important to make sure that they're festive meals on Shavuot, and ideally in halacha, a festive meal means meat and wine. So you should have meat and wine on Shavuot at night, and then the following day as well. You have another festive meal, just like you did on Shabbat. You have 2 chalot, and you have a meat meal. What about the custom of eating dairy? You sneak it in between. Sneak it in between. Although some people are lenient, and they actually have the whole meal with dairy products, and they don't. They're not so careful about having the meat. Yeah.
So it is general Peshat Halakha that you have to have 2 meals on Yom Tovim.
Yes.
So Shabbat is 3, Yom Tovim
Correct.
2, and then just stay alive on the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to eat any specific number of meals on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday or Friday. You don't have to. It's a good idea. I was taught growing up, you should have 3 meals a day. But this is a modern nutrition habit of the Western world. In China, do most people have 3 meals every day or 2 meals every day? What's the common custom? Like I know, growing up in America, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have 3 meals a day. That's the standard system in the Western world. I'm not sure it's true in China.
Most of people eat the sweet.
They do have 3 meals. Okay, right. I had some.
So in the city, totally.
Everybody's too busy, you're saying?
No, the energy only a little energy cost. No time no time the whole
I see. Right. 3
Mm.
meals. I had some Chinese students once, and they told me that the custom is for breakfast to have soup, hot soup. Yeah? Is it, you know what I'm talking about? Is that common in China? Yeah.
So what do the more ancient texts, especially Hazal or even before Beit Sheni fell, what do they say about how many meals?
Exactly. So this is coming from then. The standard was in the Mishnaic period, in the Tanaitic, the period of Chazal, right? The green period. The standard was most days you have 2 meals. 2 meals a day during the weekdays. And that's why Shabbat was special. You have 3 meals. An extra meal to honor the Shabbat. Okay? But, and also they derived it from a verse. It says about the Shabbat, about the man. What was the man? Amos? Man, yeah. What is man? It is manna. Manna is in English. Man in Hebrew. What is the manna? What is the man? What's it?
Lechem?
It's some kind of food. Lechem also can just mean food. Doesn't necessarily have to mean bread.
Says that whatever we think we eat.
Amazing! It's the bread. It's the special food that Hashem provided for the Jewish people during the period of the desert, when they were in the desert. And they say that the Torah gives a description. It says it's sort of like a thin cracker in honey. It's oily. Yeah. But according to the Midrash, it says it tasted like anything you desired. So if you wanted to have, use your imagination. And it's a spiritual food. And what they're telling us is that it's a spiritual food, and it made you satisfied no matter what. So you said, I really want a steak. You took a bite. It tasted like a steak. If you really want ice cream, you take a bite. It tastes like ice cream. It all depends on what your heart and soul desire. It's an amazing miracle. This is miraculous bread, the man. So when the Torah describes the man falling, for the Jewish people, they come to Moshe to get instruction. What's going on here? What is this stuff? What do we do with it? Moshe tells them, eat it today. And he goes on to describe, it's going to come every day and every night.
Except on Shabbat.
Except on Shabbat, Yafeh. And then he says, therefore,
You can eat on the Shabbat, but you can't.
No.
it doesn't fall. It doesn't fall on Shabbat. Yeah, you pick up the double portion on Friday. That's right. And then he says, eat it today, once again. And the rabbis, with their very sharp eyes and ears, they hear, I hear in this paragraph of Moshe, his sentence, 3 times it says the word Hayom. Hayom, Hayom.
Today.
From there they anchored this idea. On Shabbat we have 3 meals. For the day of Shabbat, the 3 times Hayom, three meals. That reminds us that we have to have an extra meal for the Shabbat. So every Shabbat we have to have 3 meals. Usually we do 1 at night, 1 in the morning, and then 1 in the afternoon after Mincha, right? So this applies though only to Shabbat, not to Yom Tov. Yom Tov you don't have to have a 3rd meal. Yeah.
The second meal we have, you say we have in the morning on Yom Shabbat.
Yeah.
But what I learned is you have it after Kidus.
Of course.
Why is it after Kidus and not early in the morning?
So it's a good question. So really, when I say morning, some people only have the second meal, right? The first meal is at night. The second meal, some people have it only midday. Because in the morning, they're so busy. They're davening, they're going to shul, they're learning. So you don't eat until you finish davening. And davening sometimes can take a couple of hours. And so by the time you get home, it's already late morning, maybe 12 o'clock even sometimes. So that's really lunch. So there's no real breakfast.
Right.
So that's meal number 2.
Yes.
And then meal number 3 is after Mincha.
Yes.
But some people, they get up early and because they can't sleep so well. Or they just like to get up early because it's too hot outside later.
You cook all night until night.
Or you stay up all night and then you finish davening at 8 in the morning. It's 9 in the morning. So you're going to have a heavy meat meal at 9 in the morning. You're not really hungry for a major meal yet. And so the custom developed that you have a snack. The snack oftentimes is called Kiddush. Really, the Kiddush refers to the cup of wine that you have to start off the meal with. Just like you had a cup of wine to start off the meal Friday night,
Yes.
and the eve of Shavuot, the beginning of every festival, you started off with Kiddush on a cup of wine, and then you have a major meal. Kiddush became the name of the little snack that people have in the morning, because you're not allowed to eat until you say Kiddush. You say Borei Pri Hagafen on a cup of wine, or some people have whiskey, but it's usually though they only have a snack. And then when it comes 12 o'clock or midday, then you have a major meal with your 2 chalot and your meat and your wine. And so many times that little snack in the morning is called the Kiddush.
Okay.
But that's not a proper meal. If you're not washing and having 2 chalot, it's not a meal. Right? If it's just having some cake and cookies or crackers and herring. Eastern Europeans love to have herring. Do you know the fish called herring?
Yeah.
I don't know if you probably eat it in China too. It's a special type of fish which is usually soaked in salt. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen it around in some communities? It's a special fish that's very popular in Europe called herring.
Yes. I know that.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yes. So some people some people have that for Kidus. Some people have a kugel, a sort of what's it called in English?
I don't know.
What's a kugel in English? Made out of a noodle pudding, some type of, or made out of
meatloaf and noodles.
right. So what's called a pudding? Called a casserole or some kind of a dish, some kind of. There's a word for it. Anyways, but there's many different customs. You eat whatever you want in the morning for Kiddush. There's some rules. You have to have mizonot. You have to make it somewhat of a meal, but that's not the official second meal of the day. That's only when you have your 2 chalot. Okay, so also Shavuot night, I think what most people are going to do, let's say you stay up all night long, Motzei Shabbat. Motzei Shabbat is actually very easy to stay up all night if you have a nap on Shabbat afternoon.
Can I ask you another question?
One thing, let me just finish. So when you're up all night long, you daven, you hear the 10 Commandments in the Beit Knesset, and then what do? You wanted to go to sleep, of course. You were up all night. But you want to have a drink, you want to have a little bit, something to eat. So you make Kiddush, a cup of wine, you have some crackers, some cake, and then you go to sleep. And then when you wake up at 12, 1, 2 in the afternoon, however much you want to sleep, then you have your major meal of the second meal of the Shavuot holiday. So many people do that. They don't have the full meal in the morning because you're so tired. You just go to sleep. Okay, now you had a question? No.
Yeah, I'd like to ask when I'm talking now on the second meal. So Friday evening we had the first.
Yes.
And then we are going to Beit Knesset on Shabbat in the morning. We had the Kiddush. And my question is about the Kiddush. When we had the Kiddush.
Some people have Kiddush in the shul, you know that?
Yes.
Right.
I used to do it in the.
That's right, sure.
And there, the people are used to eat the things to say all the brachot. Mezunot, Etz, Adama. Why we, Shehakor, of course.
Yes.
Why we need to eat specific the things to say the brachot? Why?
Right. You don't have to. It's a nice custom, but you don't have to. Some communities, they're very careful because they want to say lots of blessings. Every time you bless Hashem is wonderful. So you have the opportunity, because you're not having bread, because it's not the major meal, it's just Kiddush, it's just a snack. So then you can say many blessings. One for what grows from the tree, one grows from the ground, one is a fruit, one is a special fruit, special status, mezonot, right, grains, products. So you have the opportunity to say many blessings. So why not? Yeah.
Is there an order to say?
There is an order. Yeah, we're gonna study it. Always. Except for on Shabbat, you're not allowed to have the mizonot until you say the Bor Pregafen on the Kiddush to sanctify the day. So you have to. That's why we cover over the bread, because it's if they're not there. Because otherwise, the bread should come first. The bread or the mizonot should come first. So many people cover over the mizonot for the Bor Pregafen.
And after mezunot, we say the etz, then the adama, and then shakol. That's right.
Yafeh me'od. You're picking things up. Yafeh. You do this every week. Yes. Good. There is a specific order. That's right.
I learned it from my wife.
Good. Amazing. I learned many things from my wife. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Do you know that To understand the logic of it, it's mean when we do the Kiddush, and then when
Which Kiddush? The Kiddush Friday night or the Kiddush in the Shabbat morning?
Shabbat morning,
Shabbat morning Kiddush, yeah.
and then we do Kiddush again for the Shabbat meal in Shabbat. Then we have bread, and then we say now we have a mezonot or something. We need to always have a mezonot when we do have Kiddush in the morning, or just the wine is enough?
So it's
and then,
yeah.
that's the one. And then the question is, because when we do on bread and on the wine, we don't do any other brachot. Is a different system than when we do mezonot and wine, then we can do what he's mentioning.
Correct. That's correct.
And what is the rule for that?
Very good. So there is a rule, a halacha, that says that Shabbat morning, before you eat, you should bless Hashem for the Shabbat. Usually we do that with a cup of wine, or grape juice. Now there's another rule that says that's not good enough. You have to bless Hashem for the Shabbat at a meal that counts halachically as a meal. Just to say Bor Priagafen and then go to read the newspaper, it's not kosher. It's not a kosher kiddush. The kiddush is only kosher if it's done at the beginning of a meal. What qualifies as a meal? So here we have two options, either bread or mezonot. It has to be one of those two. If you're not allowed to eat bread, you're not allowed to have grain, wheat products, those are exceptions. But the standard is that you have to have some form of mezonot after you have your Bor Priagafen. So at the Kiddush in the Bet Knesset. Yeah? Oh, I'll turn it up. I'll just push it up, please. Yeah. That's right. I'll push it up. No problem. Thank you for telling me. There's cookies here, by the way, if you want. Tahina cookies, mezonot. Help yourselves. In any case, so usually, if we're going to have this small snack in the morning, because you don't want to have a big heavy meal in the morning time, so you have to have, at the very minimum, you have to have a Bor Priagafen, and then a cracker or a piece of cake, something that's mezonot. Okay? And then, if you want to have, say more blessings, you can have a fruit, say Bor Pri'etz, you can have a piece of vegetable, let's say Bor Pri'adama. So if you like, you don't have to.
Okay.
And then you fulfilled your mitzvah of Kiddush at a meal, at a snack which is meal enough. It's enough like a meal to count. And then later on in the day, when you have your major meal with bread, the truth is you don't have to have another cup of wine. The mitzvah of Kiddush you've done already.
Yes.
You did that on your snack. You said the bar, you blessed the Shabbat and with a cup of wine, and you had a meal. You're fulfilled. Sometimes I say Kiddush again. What does it say Kiddush? I mean, take another cup of wine. But you don't have to. And then when you're having the meal, that's your proper meal with bread. And then, of course, the rules are that you don't say any other blessings, right? Is that clear? Sometimes, if you didn't have a snack in the morning, you didn't have Kiddush. So then when you come time to the midday meal, of course, you have to start it off with Bor Priagafen. And then you have your full meal. Yeah.
And also I learned that we shouldn't fast on Shabbat. And if we skip the breakfast,
True.
is it fasting or not?
That's one of the reasons why some people have this Kiddush, is because the shul, the davening, the prayers take so long in the morning. The prayers take so long in the morning that it might go on all the way to midday, and you're not supposed to fast on Shabbat. You're supposed to celebrate on Shabbat and enjoy. And so they say, if we have a small meal in the morning, even though we're not ready for the full meal yet, because we're just waking up or whatever it is, so at least we're not fasting.
So Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av.
Of course, Yom Kippur we do fast, and therefore there's no rush to finish the davening. So we go on and on for all day long. We can pray.
When it coincides with Shabbat, do we move the Shabbat?
That's right. It overrides Shabbat. We fast. That's the only fast that overrides Shabbat. Yom Kippur
Tisha B'Av.
does not. We push it off. This year, actually, Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbat, and we don't fast on the 9th of Av, we fast on the 10th of Av, on Sunday. Shabbat, we have a regular Shabbat with full meals, everything.
It starts on the Shabbat night. Like
That's right. Saturday
night.
Saturday night. Yeah.
Then, if I do Kiddush in Bet Knesset and then I came home and my family wasn't in Bet Knesset, I do Kiddush again and there is no
Correct. Yeah, you can say Borei Pri Hagafen 100 times a day if you like.
Yeah,
Because it's interesting. The morning Kiddush, what we call the Kiddush, if you look at the actual text, it doesn't actually have a Baruch Atah Hashem. Like at night, on Friday night, we say Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh HaShabbat, as well as Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Borei Pri Hagafen. But in the morning, it's just Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam Borei Pri Hagafen. So you can say Borei Pri Hagafen 100 times a day if you like, right? If your family needs to hear Kiddush, you say a few verses about Shabbat. That's the custom. You read a portion from the Torah that mentions the Shabbat, Zachor, Shamor. It's a few different customs, but essentially that's all it is a blessing over a cup of wine, mentioning the Shabbat with some verses. And so you can do that for if somebody else had not had the small snack Kiddush with you. You can say the Kiddush again for the family, for sure. Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
Another question. I'm used to do the following. On Shishi in the evening, we have the Shabbat, Kiddush, everything. We have family and friends in home, so it's getting a little bit late.
Yes.
And so on Shabbat morning, we get up very early because we need to go to Bet Knesset.
Nice.
And then we have the Kiddush in the Bet Knesset. We come home, we have our second meal, as we need to do.
Right.
And and I'm very tired. I like to have a little bit of rest. I want to sleep.
Okay.
And my wife, she told me it's asur to sleep before 12:30.
Interesting.
I don't know why, and I don't ask because I'm a good husband. I listen to my wife, so I don't go to sleep before 12:30. So, did you heard about that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because she said between 12:30 and Mincha you can have rest. Go to sleep, go outside, take your rest, whatever you want, but not before 12:30.
Yeah, it's not really prohibited. It says in the Talmud somewhere that it's a custom of lazy people to sleep in the morning. You don't want to be called lazy, so maybe that's what she means. But everything in context. If you need a nap, you can sleep in the morning time. There's no problem. It's not a halachic prohibition to sleep. But as you said, you have the right approach. You listen to your wife. But we have to. It's always important to make a distinction between a Torah law, a rabbinic law, a custom of a specific community, a custom of everybody, an ancient custom, a new custom, and a nice idea. Those are all different levels of obligation in our tradition. It's important to separate between them.
Yes.
And it's important for your wife to study as well, to know the differences between these different levels of obligation. So, yeah.
So people who do not have eating disorders are hayav to have 3 meals on Shabbat and 2 meals on Yom Tov?
Correct. Okay. Yes. That's a good question. Pinchas is asking, I will repeat the question. Pinchas is asking, on Shabbat, sometimes what happens is, you wake up in the morning early, and you go to davening early, and then you're really hungry. So you don't want just a little snack. You want a full meal. Let's say on Shavuot, for example, you're not so tired, you slept part of the night, and you're going to have a meal which is chalavi, dairy products, in any case. So it's 10 in the morning, you make kiddush, you have 2 chalot, you have your meal, whether it's basari or chalavi, it doesn't matter, and then you fulfilled your second meal, right? The first one was at night, and this is the second meal. You had your two chalot, and you made kiddush. So you're done with the second meal. So now, in the long summer days, that was at 10 o'clock. You're all finished. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Now it comes 1 o'clock. You're starting to get hungry, and it's the afternoon, and you want to have your third meal. But wait, mincha might be at 5 o'clock. Usually we have Suda Shlishit, the third meal, after mincha. Are you allowed to have it before mincha? That's your question, right? I understood. So the answer is it's allowed, but not ideal. Not ideal. Ideal. We have a word for ideal. You should learn it. I'll write it on the board. Actually, the truth is, open up your books. In the back of the book, there's a glossary. Turn to page 247. Do you see this book of the festivals? Look to page 247 on line number 4. It says lechatchila. You see that word? Lechatchila. Page 247. Ab initio, which is Latin, I believe.
Yes.
And what that means is a level of performance that satisfies an obligation in an ideal manner. So ideally, the best way is to have Suda Shlishit after Mincha. That's lechatchila. But the opposite of lechatchila is, turn to page 243. Turn to page 243. Look for the entry that starts off with the letters B-E, B'diavad, or B'di'eved, as some people pronounce it. And that refers to a level of performance that ex post facto, it's also Latin, I believe, it means after the fact, satisfies an obligation in a less than ideal manner. So we have lechatchila is the ideal law, the ideal performance, the ideal way to do it. B'di'eved or b'di'avad is the less than ideal. It's not perfect, but it's still kosher, it's still okay. So that's what the rabbis teach us about Suda Shlishit. Ideally, it should be after mincha, lechatchila. But b'di'eved, if for some reason you're not able to do it after mincha and you want to do it beforehand, it still counts as the third meal. Yes?
So lechatchila is, the first part, the first thing you try to do it.
Right, the word hatchala is in there, right?
And
Lechatchila.
the avad is what you, it's like after the fact.
After the fact.
It's mutar. What is the term we can use that's not after the fact? It's less ideal, but it's still mutar.
We use the same word. You're right that the words refer more to after the fact, and you're asking, it's before the fact. I haven't done it yet. I want to know if I can do it. But we use the same words to say that you're allowed to do it, although it's not the ideal thing to do. You're still allowed to do it, and it'll be kosher. It'll be fulfilling your obligation. We still use the same word. You're right. It's not precise.
So the connotations in Jewish discourse of these terminologies have evolved over time. And
Absolutely.
Now they have more connotations.
Correct. That's right. That's right. The term b'diavad or b'di'eved refers to anything which is not an ideal performance, even though you haven't done it yet. And sometimes there's a reason where you want to say, I'm not going to be able to do the ideal form. I know myself. I know that I'm so hungry that if I wait until mincha, if I wait till 6 in the afternoon, I'll just go crazy. Or I won't have time between mincha, after mincha, because I have to go to a shiur or something. So if you know that this is the situation, it's not an ideal situation, but I want to fulfill the third meal, you can go ahead and have it even before mincha, and it's kosher. It's kosher. So there's a situation where you're actually doing something by choice, which is b'di'avad, which is after the fact. So it's not a precise use of the term, you're right. But it's given in the given circumstances, it's the best you can do. So We also call that b'diavad. Okay, back to Shavuot night. Let's open up and continue. We were learning about staying up all night.
Can I ask you a question about the Shavuot thing?
Sure.
Okay, because I'm very confused, and I hope you can help me.
I hope so too.
On Shavuot, we celebrate that we receive the Torah.
Yes. Page 232, everybody, get ready. Yeah.
But in a matter of fact, we receive the Torah on Yom Kippur.
Very good question.
So, of course, I understand you say he come back with the Torah, and he was angry about the Egel, and he destroyed it, so we don't receive the Torah.
Right.
We need to wait until Yom Kippur.
Right.
So why we celebrate to receive the Torah on Shavuot?
Good question. Good question. Yafe. Who can give Ravid an answer? Maybe see if someone else has an idea. What are we celebrating on Shavuot? What actually did the Jewish people receive on Shavuot? Because we have another tradition that says that we receive the Torah on Yom Kippur. So what are we celebrating on Shavuot? How many days are in between Shavuot and Yom Kippur?
50 days.
Not 50 days.
3 times 40.
120 days, that's right.
120. Oh, yeah.
Why? Why 3 times 40?
He's going back and to ask for, to say sorry to the
That's
people.
right.
He's coming back, and then he's coming again to receive the Torah, and he's coming back, and then we have Yom Kippur.
Yafe. Yafe. So take a look. We'll do a brief timeline because sometimes it's confusing. Let's start from Nisan. Nisan is the name of the month. It's the first of the months. And when did the Jewish people leave Egypt? 15th of Nisan. Okay, this is what we call the Exodus. Right? 15th of Nisan. And that's when we celebrate Pesach. Right? That's when we celebrate Pesach. And then we count. How many days until we get to, right? Then comes there's 30 days of Nisan. Then comes the month of Iyar, and then comes the month called Sivan. And we know that we're celebrating Shavuot on the 6th of Sivan. How many days are in between? Do the calculation. 49 days, right?
Yeah.
Right? 6 days of Sivan, and another 30 days of Iyar. So here we have 30, right? And then here we have 15, right? From the 15th of Nisan, right? It's only 15 left. That's 45 plus 6. We get to 51. So it must be 14 here. 14. Okay? 14 left in the month of Nisan. So we have 14 plus 30 plus 6. We get to day 50.
Right.
Equals day 50. And that's a little more complicated. We read it the other day. There's different ways of calculating exactly was the Torah given on the 50th day or the 51st day. Moshe added 1 day. We spoke about it briefly. But then we're told that there was a period of 40 days where Moshe went up to Mount Sinai to receive what? The Torah. And what did he come down? When did he come down? After 40 days were over. Do the calculation. 6 plus 40. So you're right, the month is 30 days, but the 40 days takes us all the way till the 17th of Tammuz. 17th of Tammuz, it came down with Luchot HaBrit. I'll just draw them like this, even though we're not sure exactly what they look like. They're 2 tablets, okay? And unfortunately, what did he find?
The Egel.
The Egel. I'm going to try to draw...
He threw it away. He broke it.
This is a calf. And so he broke the tablets, right?
Right.
So then our tradition tells us that he went up to ask for forgiveness for another 40 days. Until, what does that bring us to? It brings us to the 1st of Elul. And there's Av, of course, in here. Av. So you have 30 days of Av, plus, so it took him a few days. Let's say he went up on the 18th, he went back up on the 18th, and then so he had like 10 days from left of Tammuz, and then the 30 days of Av, we get to the 1st of Elul, or the 29th of Tammuz, of Av. Anyways, we have another 40 days here, and then Hashem forgives the Jewish people, and then we have another 40 days, which take us into the month of Tishrei, to the 10th of Tishrei, right? 30 days of Elul and 10 days of Tishrei, and then we have Yom Kippur, right? This is Yom Kippur, and what did we receive? The second tablets, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Ravid is asking, if we receive the tablets here, what do we celebrate over here? On Shavuot, on the 6th of Sivan. That's your question?
Yes, right.
Okay. Everybody understand the question? Does anybody have an answer? Help me out.
We have we stay under the mountain and we receive it.
What did we receive? What did we receive?
The first two.
The first two what? Here we got the first two tablets.
Okay.
The broken
What do we
Torah.
get first? What broken Torah? No, the broken Torah was only in the 17th. Yes. Shadchan. Ken Ayapo. Is it on the table? Do you see a stapler? Yeah, here. Yes. I apologize. One of the students didn't. I'm sorry. Blame it on the students. He didn't bring it back. We only got the tablets here, and then they got broken. But what did we get on the 40 days earlier?
We hear the voice. We
There you go. There you go. We didn't receive any object.
we don't want it. We have been afraid.
We heard and we saw. This was the revelation. When we heard and saw the 10 Commandments spoken.
Actually, two.
Commandments 2 or 10, it's a machloket. But there was no tablets. They were not written down on anything. It was an experience. The revelation experience. The mountain was on fire, and the sound of the thunder and the lightning. And the voice of the Lord was heard, and said, I am Hashem your God who took you out of Egypt. And they heard the 10 Commandments. They heard them. But they were not written on the tablets until later. Until the 17th of Tammuz, Moshe came down with the tablets. Okay? And then they were broken. And so we had to wait another 40 days and another 40 days until we got the second version. Right? It was an upgrade. Upgrade. You have a computer. It's called a tablet. Right? So this was version 1 and version 2 of the tablet. Right? The iPad.
Yeah.
iPad 1 and iPad version 2. That's the tablets. Right? They call it a tablet computer in what's it in Chinese? Right? There's a laptop computer where you have a keyboard and there's a tablet. It's like a big phone. You know what I'm talking about? What's that called in Chinese?
键盘，
Tablet.
键盘，
Chima.
键盘，
Chima?
键盘，键盘，
No, that's a laptop. You're talking about a laptop. Computer that you open it up and you type.
yes.
That's like a laptop computer. But the one that you just hold in your hand and you have you type on the screen. What's that called? iPad. What's that called?
平板電腦。
Huh? No?
平板电脑，平板，
Pinba.
The me is one level laptop.
Okay. One level laptop. Okay, that's what it's called. So in English it's called a tablet. And a tablet is the same word we use for the tablets that Moshe brought that had the, according to the some scholars, they were actually rectangular. Right? 2 tablets. They called them tablets. It's a funny thing that it's the same name for the stone and for the computer. Tablet. So, and they said this is version 1, right? Version 1, and this is
Version 2.
version 2. Okay. This is. I assume they said the same thing, but they actually have a different character. But anyways, we didn't get any version on Shavuot itself. We only had a revelation. Who has revelation? Who sees God? Who hears God speak? Huh?
People,
Yeah, the whole nation. The whole nation.
No, but it's usually who gets to hear the voice of God? Who has God speak to him? What do we call him? Not Tzaddikim, not Israel. Navi, what's that in English?
Prophets.
A prophet. Usually the prophet spoke to God.
Whole nation.
Here we have the whole nation. It's a revelation experience, we could call it, of prophecy. The entire nation became prophets. That's what happened on Shavuot. There was no tablets, no computers.
So,
Yes.
so it is absolutely asur to do the fasting on Shabbat and Yamim Tovim.
It is a sur. It's not absolutely a sur, but it is a sur.
No, I just use this for summary verbiage.
Right. There are exceptions, but
I know.
in general, it's a sur.
Yeah.
It's a sur to fast. And that's you're considered to be fasting if you don't eat anything until midday. So that's why you should always try to eat something at least or drink before midday on Shabbat. Usually, it works out because you don't pray for so long, unless you get up really late. Ariel, do you ever get up late? Never.
So we celebrate the hearing of the commandments.
Exactly.
We didn't receive anything,
Precisely.
but we just see and heard what happened.
There's nothing greater. We received.
Wow.
So nothing. We
I'm-
received
I'm
that.
happy to
Hear the answer. Yes. Good.
Wow.
It wasn't clear before. Now we know what we're celebrating.
And it's also right, the broken Torah, the first edition, they saved it. It's in the Kodesh.
Yeah. So after, what did they do? That comes later. But the 17th of Tammuz, there's a tradition that those broken pieces were kept. They were kept
Because normally
together.
what we throw it down and it's broken, we throw away.
Right.
But we kept it.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. But that has nothing to do with Shavuot.
Yeah.
That's afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. Amos.
The first arrow is Rosh Hashanah.
No, first of Tishrei. Rosh Hashanah is in here.
Right.
First of Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah, 10 days before Yom Kippur. The first of Elul is when we start yeshiva.
My phone is
The beginning
lying.
of yeshiva.
My phone is lying.
Your phone is lying. Yeah.
Wow. What is this? Rosh Hashanah Lapet. There's something else.
I don't know what. I don't know. But the first of Elul is when 30 days before Rosh Hashanah. A month before Rosh Hashanah, we start the new semester. Okay, so let's open up page 232. Page 232. Okay? Ariel, read for us, please. What's the study on the night of Shavuot? Okay, there's different customs. Go ahead.
There are 2 customs regarding the material to study on Shavuot night, both of which are perfectly fine. The first custom is the one established by the Kabbalists and called Tikkun La'el Shavuot. According to this custom, one recites the first 3 and last 3 verses of every parsha in the Torah, sections particularly relevant to the festival, such as those that describe Matan Torah and the 10 Commandments are recited in their entirety. After the Torah verses, the first and last 3 verses of each book of the prophets and the writings are recited. Afterward, the first and the last Mishnah of every tractate is recited. though some do not recite the Mishnayot. Afterward, all 630 mitzvot are enumerated, followed by the Midrashim about the giving of the Torah. This is followed by Idra Rabbah and other Zohar passages. In addition to those who always follow Kabbalistic customs, other communities have adopted this routine as well, and it was the custom of the Vilna Gaon, Hatam Sofer, and Rabbi Eliyahu, David Rabinawel, Te'onim, Adem. Some maintain that this order of study should be done with a minyan.
Yafa. So what's this custom called? Have anybody seen people doing this custom?
It's called Tikkun La'el Shabbat.
That's right. Tikkun. Tikkun
Is
means
gathering.
right. It's usually means rectification, fixing. But actually, it's something that it's an order. It's
Order.
a system of what you're supposed to read. Page 232, Amos. So the first option is called Tikkun Leil Shavuot. Many Sephardi communities, basically, when you go on the night of Shavuot to a Sephardi shul all night long, everybody has the book, same book, and they're reciting, they're reading. What are they reading? A little bit of each parsha, first three verses, a little bit of each book of the Tanakh. Some people do the Mishnah.
Do they popcorn read?
Do they popcorn read? Yes. Popcorn, what does it mean?
Like one after each other.
One after the other, right. Sometimes it depends. Every shul is a different, sometimes there's one guy reads the whole thing. Sometimes they read it all silently. Right? You can do it
So
silently.
one guy's reading it all, but everyone's reading the same book. It's like pouring.
That's right. But the idea is that these are a specific, very set ritual of which parts of the Torah to study. Right? It's like here in yeshiva. What do we have? You have one class at 9, and then another class at 11, Parshat Shavua, and then another class you have. Right? There's a schedule of what you're supposed to study. There's a regimented course of study. That's probably what the best translation of Tikkun Leil Shavuot means. It's a course of study. The entire night.
It's also like a procedure.
The procedure.
You need to start here.
That's right.
Go through this,
That's right.
come there.
That's correct. That's right. Most places it takes a good couple of hours. Maybe even all the way till the morning. It's such a long course of study. As you can see, it's fascinating. It's brilliant. To study a little bit of every one of the books of the Tanakh and then every one of the books of the Mishnah. You've got the two major works of Judaism. Then you have a few paragraphs about the giving of the Torah, some Zohar, the 613 mitzvot. You list them. It's a beautiful course of study.
But how we manage this when we are sitting there in the middle of the night, we are listening to everything, of course. We try to understand, but we are so tired that doesn't get in. We don't understand, we cannot place it.
Maybe Hirsch can tell us when exactly it was discovered, but the question is, how can you stay up all night? How can you learn all night if you're so tired? And I think the answer was they had a really hard time with it until they discovered coffee. Like Ariel said, when was coffee discovered?
I started all night, I think it was like 1890.
The truth is, some people say that this custom of staying up all night really only took off after the coffee became popular in the Jewish communies. I think the 17th century, 18th century.
Isn't there a city in Yemen that's like a port city that does stuff with coffee, like they trade?
I don't know. But anyways, you're right. It's very difficult to do. But if you're excited about it, sometimes they give you tea. They give you some sweets, some food. That you're allowed to eat all night. It's okay.
Can you go to sleep right after eating? Like 12?
Yes, sure. Some people do that. You have a little nap.
I have studied all night before, and I recommend if you do this, don't sleep during the day. Wait until the next time, because like try to
Well,
chill like the next week.
that's extreme.
Well, that's because I'm here. Because if I sleep in the day,
I see.
Because you hear words, but actually you are not listening because you're too tired.
Yeah, so everybody has to know themselves. If you know that you won't be able to soak anything up, so then you choose a different custom. Let's go to the. But anyways, in terms of the course of study, this is the traditionally called Tikkun Leil Shavuot, where you actually have a text. You have a book. It's like a Siddur called Tikkun Leil Shavuot. The second custom, Ariel, page 233. Top of the next page now, okay, guys? Yeah. Pinchas and Israel, you with me? The top of page 233 now? Okay? Israel, you with me? Yeah? You're translating? Google Translate? Terrific. Okay, Ariel, go ahead.
The second custom is that each person should learn whatever he wants, as the sage state. A person best learns the area of Torah that his heart desires. What is the 8th?
Avodah Zarah. That's one of the chapters, the tractates of the Talmud. Yeah.
Many yeshiva students study Gemara as they do during most of their study time. Others choose to study texts related to the value of Torah or the sanctity of the day. It is told that the author of the Trumat, Hadeshen, Rabbi Israel Yisrael, who lived about 600 years ago, studied Sefer Mitzvot Adam, and sometimes Rambam's laws of Talmud Torah. Some prefer to study Rambam's Sefer HaMitzvot. Our master of Kook would give a lengthy class on Shavuot night based on Rambam's Sefer HaMitzvot. Others choose to study topics of interest to them so that they will find it easier to concentrate despite their exhaustion.
What do you see? What have you seen in different communities that you've been in for Shavuot night?
The first one.
You've seen the first one?
Yeah.
Right. Many Sephardi communities do it that way. Most, I think, Ashkenazi communities do the second way. And you know what they have? So some places that people already are used to, they're scholars. They're used to studying all year round. So they have chavrutot. They sit with a Gemara, they sit with a Chumash, and they study together in pairs. Some places, what's most common in communities, where people are not used to studying so much, you know what they do? They have classes, one after the other. They bring in a special rabbi, they bring in a great speaker, and what topic does he choose? Well, something related to Shavuot, but there's just different topics, and you sometimes have an option to choose to go to this lecture or to that lecture, to this, right? If you know Hebrew, you'd have more choice, but if you know English in these parts, maybe you have a less choice. But here in Machon Meir, every hour on the hour, there's another shiur. You can sit and learn by yourself, or you can study in the shiur, whichever helps you. Yes?
So, do you have a haruta with your wife? On the film, you know the stuff?
I don't.
No?
No.
Aren't you supposed to have a haruta when you're married?
I should, you're right. We do spend time together. We like to take walks. But in terms of actually studying Torah, in a regular fashion, we each do our learning separately.
I know your son has a haruta with your wife. They usually have a haruta,
Yeah.
Is it such thing as
these things change. I'm trying to remember exactly which son you're referring to and which,
I just remember my picture.
Yeah, it could be, yeah, but and it could be they had a regular meeting time, but then somebody's schedule changed, and so that has changed too. I don't know precisely right now which chavruta my wife has with anyone. I have every Tuesday, although he didn't call. Every Tuesday night, my son calls me on the phone. We have a chavruta over the phone.
Beautiful.
Do families
It is beautiful, but he didn't call last night. Maybe he was busy and not feeling well, but he'll have to make it up.
It is good to have a family havura, yes?
It's lovely. We do that a lot. That we do mainly around the meals. Maybe around the Shabbat meals. We study at the meals. Sometimes with books, sometimes with games.
We had this every Shabbat when we are together, my wife and me, and
Yes.
also friends or family members,
Yes.
sitting there during the meal, talking about Torah. What do you know? What do I know? Talk about it.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Amazing. That's essentially what we say every day in the Shema, which says that you should speak about them, v'dibarta bam. the words of Torah. You should speak about them when you get up in the morning, when you walk in your way, wherever you happen to be, when you're sitting in your home. So speaking in words of Torah is a great mitzvah. It's a great custom. In terms of actual formal study with a book and with progressing one paragraph after the next, that's usually not done at a meal time, but it can be done. Some families, every meal they really learn one mishnah or one halacha. Or midrash also, yeah, it's great. Anyways, the night of Shavuot, I'd say most Ashkenazi communities, the people study whatever they want. You want to study Chumash, you study Chumash. You want to study Gemara, study Gemara. You want to have a class about conversion, you do a class on conversion. You want to have a class about the revelation at Sinai and what it was like. So there's sometimes they give out sheets, like we're gonna just now. What we're gonna do in the old Beit Midrash, we're having a special gathering today in half an hour, where you're gonna get like instead of a book, because we don't have enough books for everybody. Rav Michael chose a few passages of Torah. I don't know exactly what he chose, that you're going to sit and study from a piece of paper and discuss it with your study partner for about 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. And then we're going to have a group discussion. So that's all, this is very common in Shavuot night, where they have these types of lectures with a study portion, a little bit of study, self-study, and then a class about it, source sheet. Yeah.
I heard that some people have a custom on Shavuot to bless the Gerim. Is that common, or it's something unusual?
A formal ceremony of blessing the Gerim, I've never heard of that before.
Like they want to be nice to some Gerim.
Yes.
And they give them gifts or something.
That's lovely. That's lovely. It's a great idea, but I've never heard of it before.
Okay. I guess that kind of makes sense though for Shavuot.
Why? What's conversion have to do with Shavuot?
A lot of people who came from Egypt were not all Jewish.
As a matter of fact,
Actually, what's Lavan?
No. Lot, I think you're thinking of Lot. Not Lot. Oh, Yitro. Yitro. I see. Right. We're not sure when he came exactly. But you know what? I want to fine tune the idea that you're saying. It's not that there were a lot of people. All of the Jewish people converted for preparation for the Mount of Sinai. What does a convert do? And according to our laws in the Torah, there's three things that a convert has to do in order to convert. He has to go into the mikvah. It says in the Torah that the Jewish people went to the mikvah. It says they washed, they bathed. That's what it means in the Torah context, that they immersed in the mikvah. So they bathed. Then you're supposed to have Brit Milah. They had Brit Milah. It says that when Moshe they left out of Egypt, they all did Brit Milah. And the third thing we don't have nowadays, but in the times of old, when there was a temple, they brought sacrifices. A convert had to bring a sacrifice when he converted. Nowadays, we don't have that, but it says in the Torah that the Jewish people at Sinai brought sacrifices. So our sages tell us, it's as if all of the Jewish people converted. One last thing they have to do, accept upon themselves the Torah and the mitzvot. The Jewish people, what do they say in Shemot, the beginning of the story of the Revelation, Shemot 18? They say, we will do and we will hear, right? That was their accepting upon themselves the yoke of the mitzvot, the yoke of heaven. And so we see that the Jewish people, the entire nation, went through a process of conversion. We're all converts. So you're absolutely right, Ariel. It's the right time to celebrate converts and conversion, because we're all in the same boat. As a matter of fact, the Talmud says that you should never make someone feel bad because they're a convert. Because if you say, oh, now you're so religious, and I see you're wearing a black hat, or you're davening for so long. A few years ago you were eating shrimp. A few years ago you were doing all sorts of. You didn't even know how to say Shema Yisrael, doing all sorts of things. You should never say that to a convert. And the Talmud explains, you know why? Because he can very easily say to you something that is true about yourself. Don't accuse the other. Look in the mirror, he can say to you. You too, you Jew, are also a convert. Because all of the Jewish people are converts. We all converted. So you're gonna, try to look down at the convert because he converted. All of us are converts. And so, of course, you should never make anybody feel bad. We all descended from converts. We all descended from converts. And so, therefore, we have to be very sensitive to love the convert.
And not try not to say his past name.
Not say his past name.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
That's right. Not to remind him of his past deeds.
So don't dead name? Original name.
Dead naming is when you use like the word combinations.
Yeah, sure. Definitely don't. Yeah. That's right. That's right. You have to be very sensitive to not.
You don't say in the original.
Don't say yeah.
Or they change the name.
Usually. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Shalom.
Sorry.
It's okay.
You know what time we're finishing today? Is it going from 1 or 12?
Oh, it's 11. The session upstairs?
11 till 1.
Till 12. 11 till 12. 12:15 probably. Whatever. Okay.
And it's a sword to mention a ger's pure. Like a sword.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a sword. It's a sword. It's going to, if it's going to offend him, it's going to make him feel bad. It's a sword.
So if we're polite, like trying to talk, like not trying to demean them, but we.
You have to be sensitive to like everybody is. Somebody is nowadays. It's a very big thing in the world that someone is handicapped. He's missing an arm or a leg. You make jokes about, you have only one leg. Don't joke at somebody that has a handicap. So the same idea is that, if someone may be embarrassed that he wasn't always Jewish when he's around so many Jews that were born Jewish. The truth is, the Talmud teaches us that we're all converts. It's part of all of our past. That we all went through a process of conversion at Mount Sinai. Okay? Yafeh. So there's one other reason why Shavuot is associated with converts.
Because of Ruth?
Good. There is a custom that on Shavuot we read the book of Ruth. And where does this custom come from? Why do we read the book? Ruth, of course, was a convert. And so we celebrate Ruth. And she was a convert, so that's part of the celebration of Shavuot. Why do we read the Ruth on Shavuot?
Was she a queen?
She was not a queen.
Princess.
She was not a princess.
She wasn't a princess?
Well,
no.
She came from Moab. There is a tradition that she was from an important family in Moab, but
she married the King David was her grandson.
Exactly. The tradition tells us that King David was born and died on Shavuot. So on Shavuot we celebrate King David. If we celebrate King David, we read about his great grandmother, who was Ruth. At the end of the Megillat Ruth, after telling the whole story of how she converted, it says that her great grandson was David. And we have and this is an amazing teaching as well. Who's King David? Our tradition tells us that our final redemption through Mashiach has to be from the line of David. So the hope, the future of the Jewish people comes from a convert. All come from. So that's another reason why we stress to love the convert and to accept them on the festival of Shavuot. But what you do about that in terms of a ceremony, I've never seen anybody do that. It's a lovely idea. Some converts, they don't want you to know that they converted. They would rather be. They don't want to be singled out. So it's a sensitive issue. Do you make a public pronouncement or some kind of ceremony to welcome the converts? It's nice. You want to show your love. On the other hand, they just want to blend in. Maybe they don't want to be called out. So it's hard to know what to do.
I just get a request that someone asked me if I know the convert that they want to bless him financially because they do it on Shabbat.
Amazing. Well, speak to me after class. In the last year and a half, I have been, on my free time, outside of Machon Meir, I've started an organization to help converts. Ohev Ger, it's called, that's right. And some of them do need financial support. Some people need, a job. Some people need some guidance, halach questions. I do lots of work with converts. Yesterday, I think I must have spoken to 4 or 5 different converts, trying to help them. And we need lots of funds, 100%.
So
yes.
Poor Bnei Nusim in Portugal who don't have the means to go through halachic gior can be helped by this organization?
Less. We decided. My organization decided that we're going to focus on people who have completed the process. There are many other rabbis, many other organizations which are helping people to convert. If they need a halacha conversion because only their father's Jewish or whatever.
They're the poor.
I know, but we can't help everybody. So we made a decision. We're only going to help people once they're finished the process. Obviously, we can be a little flexible here and there, but in terms of guiding people who want to convert, that's not our primary goal. I do that. Here we are. Some people here are in the process of converting. Almost as children already converted, right? But you haven't finished yet. Soon. I hope soon.
My youngest, she decided she's already in the process.
Amazing.
That's the last one. She's
so
30.
What would you recommend? What would you recommend to Bnei Nusim and other Zara in Israel who want to stay in the diaspora but want to halachically rejoin in Israel? What would you recommend?
To find a community and a rabbi. Find a rabbi and a community, and they'll guide the best solution. It's not easy. It's not easy when you're in the middle of nowhere and you have no community and you're by yourself and you need guidance. Yeah, it may be very hard to move. So it's very difficult. Some of them should be told. The best you can do is to be a Noachide, keep the 7 mitzvot. If you don't have the option of living in a Jewish community, it's very hard to convert. And but hopefully, they'll all come to Israel. And all make it through the conversion system and live happily ever after. And we'll love them as much as we can, especially on Shavuot. Especially on Shabbat, It's the festival of the converts. It's amazing. Because the Torah says you should love the converts. Dvarim, chapter 10, I believe, verse 19. It says, you shall love the convert, for you were gerim in the land of Egypt. So the word ger, in context, many times means a stranger.
Yeah. Verse 10, you say?
Verse 19, I believe. I'll tell you precisely if you want. It says you should love the convert because you were all converts when you left the land of Egypt.
Yeah.
So usually people read the verse and they say ger means you were a stranger in the land of Egypt. So the ger means somebody who's an alien, who's somebody who doesn't have his family here. He's a newcomer to the community, to the land. But our sages say it actually refers to conversion. For you were not just strangers in the land of Egypt, but you were converts when you came out of the land of Egypt. You converted coming towards Mount Sinai. Let's see. That's right. Chapter 10, verse 19. I was right. Thou shalt love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. So of course it means strangers, and it's true. We were out of towners in Egypt. We were the Canaanites. We were the people coming. We were the Hebrews. We were not Egyptians, and so we had a tough time, a very tough time. And so when you see someone who doesn't belong, who is not a local, you should be nice to him. But our sages says that actually refers to converts. Ahavtem et hager doesn't just mean the stranger. It means somebody who actually fully converts. And because you were converts when you came out of the land of Egypt, as I described now before, the Jewish people were all converts.
Strong.
Very strong, yeah, very powerful. So if you send me your emails, I'll send you. We're just putting out now an update from my new organization about our activities and how you can contribute. So if anybody has some tzedakah money that they want to contribute, you can do that. Okay? Beseder. So we have two. What are you going to study on Shavuot night? I know Ravid's going to go to sleep. Ravid's going to go to sleep. He'll study in the daytime. He'll study in the daytime when he's awake and has full attention. Fine. But what are you, Amos? Are you going to study? You're going to say Tikkun Leil Shavuot, or are you going to study the various things? Study Rabbi Yonatan Sachs books. Good. What are you going to do, Yisrael? Which method are you going to choose?
I try to study a little bit. I like.
With what? What are you going to study? What content?
Maybe about the how to say from Egypt. Hashem take Egypt from Egypt to the land.
So you're going to study for the Chumash, the book of Shmot.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, Arya, what do you plan to do?
Try to do most of what the custom of Tikkun and Shavuot.
Yeah.
So that's Chumash, and that's also including all this
Prophets.
13,
Yeah,
so
600, right?
Midrashim is also really important.
Here in the yeshiva,
Probably not Mishnah because
it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Here in the yeshiva, they have a group. There's a group that does that, reading from the text, in the old Beit Midrash, where we're going to go in just a few minutes. We're going to go there. They do that. They have a group who does that here in the yeshiva. The rest of the yeshiva, they study, I think, in the Beit Midrash. There's some classes, independent, and there's classes. Hirsch, what are you going to do? You probably go to the classes, no? What are you going to do on the night of Shavuot? What are you going to study?
Maybe Parasha.
Maybe Parasha?
Oh, yes, Shabbat. So Shavuot is one of the Yamim Tovim. On Yom Tov, no phone, no writing.
Correct.
No writing.
Correct.
No phone.
Correct.
No espresso.
Yes. You'll have to listen to the shirim without taking notes. It's going to be a big change for you, Hirsch.
This is torture.
Torture, huh?
This is torture.
Or maybe you'll say once in a while, once a week, you'll study Torah of a different kind and you'll enjoy it. You don't have to write everything down. You can write everything down when Shabbat is over. That's right, write it on your heart.
Oh, but this year we have Shabbat and Shavuot.
Shabbat and Shavuot, and then you write doubly on Motzei Shavuot. Sunday night, you sit down and write down everything you learned. Tov. The Seder will stop here, have a little break, and then we'll go upstairs now to learn with the group, with the bigger group. Old Beit Midrash, yeah. Okay, I'll turn this off.